Hello everyone, my name is Omega the Real, or maybe if you want to keep it short and simple. Today we're going to be taking a look at some Prime versus Prime. No, not that guy. With the Transformers 1 marketing officially underway as figures are starting to seep their way into stores, there are going to be different versions of the characters that are going to be available for purchase, likewise what you see here. And thus, the purpose of today's video is helping you, the viewer, decide which you should spend your hard-earned money on, Studio Series or Mainline. So, without further ado, let's get into it.
Who the fuck designs Transformers toys?
So before we actually look at the toys themselves, we're going to be taking a look at the packaging first, because I feel like it's different enough to actually talk about. Studio Series keeps it very safe and simple, opting out to go for the traditional version of the packaging we've seen, with the blue, the blacks, and the traditional product shots that we've seen for Studio Series in the past. So there's nothing crazy about this packaging besides it being Transformers 1 themed. However, with Mainline being the same size, it gives us a way different version of packaging, opting to go more movie-oriented with the blues, the reds, and the golds, giving it a very interesting look. I really like how this looks, and I should mention that we're not taking a look at the deluxe class, we're taking a look at the Prime Changer. It's the same thing, just don't get too bothered by it. What the fuck? And the instruction manuals are as expected for Studio Series, and for Transformer 1, it goes for a blue and yellow look, so makes it different from the Rise of the Beasts and Studio Series pamphlets. Pretty cool to see that they're making them different, so let's actually look at the figures this time.
Darkwing. Oh, my finger can transform. Guess which one?
Details, of course, on both Optimus here are, without a doubt, pretty damn fantastic. Studio Series once again giving us another incredible release of the line. Look at all the detail on this guy. Optimus here is just fantastic to look at. And for Orion Optimus, well, the instructions call them both of the same thing, so just for simplicity, we're going to call him Optimus still, just because. Prime Changer Optimus isn't bad, but he's okay. A lot of this guy is just outpainted gray plastic, so a lot of the details are going to get lost in the mold, but, you know, for what he is, being slightly cheaper than the deluxe class from Studio Series, he's not the worst. But overall, if I was going to pick one, I have to lean towards Studio Series here. The details on this guy are way too nice not to ignore. So sorry, Mainline, I'm going to have to go with Studio Series here when it comes to detail. But don't worry, we still have way more of this video to get through. Anyway, moving on to...
Why is he gagged?
He wouldn't stop talking.
Even when he was unconscious?
Especially when he was unconscious.
Now, you'd think I'd take the easy way out and choose Studio Series, but in this case, I think the cheapest option is actually going to be better for you. I think a majority of people are already going to choose this over the Studio Series Prime just because of this whole pre-yellowing incident. Now, I know the context behind this is that it's not actually pre-yellowed, this is just how the plastic mold came out, but this is still ugly as hell. Just because it's accurate to the coloring in the movie doesn't mean I'm going to like it better, so yeah, detail and paint definitely goes to Mainline Prime here. So if you're ever in the position of finding these two in stores, I'm definitely sure you're going to be choosing the standard silver, grays, and red blues over this oat milk beige piece of crap. But you know, my opinion shouldn't be the end all be all. I am just a random dude on the internet, and you can make your own choices, so continue watching and see what you want to decide after. But, you know, I think we should get on to...
Look, that's Starscream, and you're Shockwave, and Soundwave. Enough! Gosh, raise your hand if Wave is in your name. There's a lot of waves.
Starting off with Studio Series for Articulation here, he is filled with a bunch. His head, of course, is on a ball joint, making sure he can move all the way around, and really far up, thanks to the way this guy transforms. His arms, too, are the infamous Hot Rod shoulders, but I've already made a point that I don't really care that they're Hot Rod shoulders, or I don't care about the joint in general. It's fine. Rise of the Beast Optimus has it, so why should I complain? And his arms do actually benefit from some butterfly joints, and this joint too, if you can even count that. Elbows and wrists also move too, and the way his waist works is not at the waist, it's actually at this midsection, so glad they were able to integrate that instead of, you know, giving us just a movementless body. It's pretty cool. And this guy has a diaper of sorts that was made for the hip, so if you want to move it out of the way and make his legs move, you could do that. That is something you can do. And because these are on a ball joint, they can go back pretty far, and also go out pretty far. And these thighs also rotate at the knee. Interesting, considering how tiny his thighs are. That's fine. And of course, very deep knee bend and pivot toe bend. Overall, this is some fantastic work. Unfortunately, however, I cannot really say the same for the mainline Prime Changer, because while his head also works exactly the same as the Studio Series one, this is going to be a little bit more limited. Of course, the hot right shoulder's return for both of these guys, mainly up to this point, has been the same, but now that we're moving on to the elbows, that move, he's very gappy, of course, but that's to be expected from things this cheap and this big. He has no wrist articulation. Best he has is just that, which doesn't even count. And instead of being a midriff rotation, he actually has a waist swivel. So that's actually, I guess, a plus up from the Studio Series. I don't know if you count that. Legs are also on a ball joint, so you can move him around like crazy. And he's also got the same knee thigh bend. I mean, his thigh is really small in this version. I don't know why. And of course, knee bend. And unfortunately, nothing at the toes. So yeah, this guy is way more limited than the Studio Series one, but does that mean it's all that worse? Of course not. This isn't the worst thing we've ever gotten. Of course, we have one-step changers and flip changers and things like that, but I don't think it's ever going to be Studio Series worthy, and that's okay. Prime Changer here can still pose decently on his own, albeit a little bit more limited due to no ankle tilts or wrist swivels or any of the cooler stuff, but it's still not bad. I mean, because at the budget he's at, he's always going to be shafted in some areas, but even with what he has, he still does pretty well in articulation. But he's no Studio Series. Of course, this round goes to him. But that's not all, because we still got to go on to... So when it comes to the top of accessories, does more equal better? Not in this case. So both of the primes here come with a set of smokestack guns, and I'm going to be completely honest with you. For being the leader of the Autobots, this is the suckiest guns you could have as a leader. Like, I know peace is the right of all sentient beings and all, but when you're up against a war, you're going to need some real firepower, not these little pea shooters. I also know that Prime's not the whole shooty gun, I'm so cool type, but like, I wish he actually came with a real gun, and I think this is NDA to ask this, but if anyone's seen the movie, does he actually use these? If so, can you give a brother a hand? Both of these primes also come with an Energon X that functions the same way, but moving our attention over to Prime Changers here, there is a detail here that I think is really, really cool that's been going unnoticed. The fact that they molded in fingers on the main wide retail release and not for the collector-oriented Studio Series figure is basically unheard of. I mean, they put more effort to this than that one. And because the mainline toy is so much smaller than the Studio Series figure, this doesn't even work if trying to plug it in. It's too small for this, and his hands are way too huge for that, so... Overall, Studio Series, you're looking really bad right now. It's kind of embarrassing. I do also want to point out that when I first got this thing in hand and started messing with it, the tolerances on this accessory are extreme, so be very careful with this. It looks very thick plastic. It's not translucent, but be very careful. It's extremely hard to get out, but after you start messing around with it and getting his holes loose, it's fine. Why did I say that? And now, the one thing every single Optimus Prime should come with. The Matrix of Leadership. And only one can hold his right. Once again, Mainline is proving to be very, very good in this department, giving us a Matrix that's uniquely designed and not another Earthrise Matrix for the umptillionth time. Meanwhile, Studio Series cheaped out. What the hell is this? And he doesn't even hold it right. It's very small and dinky, and the only way he's able to hold it is with some slots in his hands, and I feel if you're not careful, you're gonna snap this thing. It is clear plastic after all, so... man, be very careful with this. Although I will give it to Studio Series, it has a generally presentable, nice looking mode when it comes to showing off the Matrix. Meanwhile, the mainline toy just shows you the gaping void of no return. And finally, the last accessory that belongs exclusively to the Studio Series figure, parts forming. we'll talk about that more later when we get to the vehicle mode, but for now...
Whoa! I got a battle mask! It appeared with this guy! Knife hands? I have knife hands!
I can see that.
Size. And of course, no brainer, Studio Series takes it, as this dude is a exceptionally large deluxe, and you'll see what I mean in a second. So, taking away our little mainline prime changer friend here, let's start size comparisons. First off with Transformers Studio Series Gamer Edition War for Cybertron Voyager Optimus Prime, Transformers Studio Series Rise of the Beast Voyager Class Exclusive Optimus Prime, Transformers Legacy Evolution Deluxe Class Amazon Exclusive Orion Pax, Transformers Legacy Evolution Amazon Exclusive Voyager Class Minor Megatron, Transformers Studio Series Deluxe Class Bumblebee Movie B-127, and for fun, just because the movie just came out, Marvel Legends reissue Deadpool. So of course Studio Series is going to win this segment being tallest, but how does our little friend actually scale up with these guys? Let's find out, starting with Gamer Edition Prime, ROTB Prime, Orion Pax, Minor Megatron, B-127, and Deadpool. I know people's scale preferences are different for everyone, and how there's going to be some people that like this version of the size better than Studio Series 1, which is completely okay, but considering the fact that we're not getting an Alita or Megatron in this scale, I think Studio Series is the way you're going to want to go considering this segment. And that'll do it for the robot modes. Some are going to say that these guys both have their pros and their cons, and do I say to that yes, that's absolutely true. But where one falls short, the other one actually seems to pick up where that one left off, and they seem to even each other out at the end of the day. So overall, at this point, it's a battle of preference to you, but which one do I much prefer? Well, we're not done yet, because we still got to talk about the vehicle mode. The transformation for these two are very well done, I have to say, especially for the prime changer. There are some things in there that actually have to throw you off guard, such as lining up the arms in the back to make them sure that everything tabs in. I don't really think these are transformations that you can do brainlessly while doing other things on the side. They actually have quite a lot going on with them, and despite being the same design, for more or less, they actually do quite a lot of things different, like the prime changer folding the thighs in, while the Studio Series one just crushes them and doesn't really do anything with them. And also with the arms sticking out in the Studio Series figure while the arms go up on the prime changer. It's a lot of things that just overall end up with the same shape. And you're noticing something on the Studio Series figure. That's what I wanted to point out. This is his final accessory, and it is this thin bendable plastic that is meant to be guns for the vehicle mode. And this is out of frame. They just stick on the front here, and I have to go out of frame for this. I apologize for that. But they go on the front like that, and it is very not fun to do. Overall, I just think these guns are really unnecessary. They're not on the prime changer, so why have them on the Studio Series one? For more accurate design, I guess, but come on, that is just... To get them off too is even worse. It's bendable plastic, like I said, so I feel like it's gonna snap any second I'm messing with it, so it's just really not a fun experience. But then again, one small thing doesn't make everything bad, so I guess I can close my eyes for this part and just pray it doesn't break in the near future. But which one do I actually like better is a really hard question. Both of these vehicle modes are fun to get into, but if I were to choose one, I guess at the end of the day, I'm going to have to go with Studio Series over Mainline. Don't get me wrong, the Mainline's alt mode isn't bad, but like I said, it's all about size, and he's very, very dinky when compared to other figures, especially since we're getting the Studio Series one soon. I don't think it's going to scale well with them. But throwing scale out the window, the Prime Changer still has a really fun alt mode. It's very chibi looking and very, movable. It has wheels, just not cooperating right now, I don't know why. But Studio Series is way more robust, and it actually feels like it's worth the $25 compared to the $20 that the Prime Changer is. But that's just what I think. So, vehicle modes overall, they're fun, but at the end of the day, I have to make a decision, so it's gotta be that guy. Gotta be him.
Father, you can't leave me. I won't, son. I never. No!
So after looking at the two, comparing their ups and downs and their faults and their successes, which do I think is better? Well, at the end of the day, I think we all knew the answer to that one. It was going to be Studio Series. But that is not a diss on the mainline toy. The mainline toy is still a fantastic figure. And honestly, if this was it's harder to find, I would recommend people find the mainline. But since it is A level or whatever that line is now, apparently it's going to be stocked all year from what I heard, I'd say go get the Studio Series over this one. But if you're willing to fork out the extra 20 for the mainline toy, I say get it. It is a fantastic toy, especially for what it is. It's really fun to mess around with, and you know, despite being cheap in some areas, it's still not a bad figure. Studio Series is always gonna just blow all that mainline stuff out of the water, but it's not a bad toy when compared objectively. It's not bad, but like I've been saying, Studio Series is just mostly going to be better for the most part. There are some times where it's not, but in this instant, I think it is. And with that statement being done, that's going to wrap up today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. Expect another video in about 2 weeks. I am trying to work out a new schedule for the channel, and I think I'm pretty content with where it's at right now. So, if you enjoyed this, like, comment, subscribe, share it with anyone you think might be interested, and that'll be all from me for this time. My name is Omega, and I will talk to you all later. Bye-bye.